2006, a total of 5 years already. I have served as the vice chairman as well as the chairman during what is arguably the most difficult period in Chesterfield County's history with the budget situation that we're under, which meant having to make some difficult decisions concerning the 8,000 employees that we have within the school system and the 50,000 or 60,000 students that we have there. During these last 5 years, I've earned a reputation as someone who is a positive force in working with our governing bodies. And I've kept the well-being of our students, the needs of our employees, and the trust of our citizens first and foremost. During my 5-year tenure, Chesterfield County has been named one of the top 100 communities in the United States for youth. We were recognized for the 5th straight time this past week. Of course, I've been on the board for 5 years, 5th straight time. Well, there might be a correlation with that. And we've been recognized by Standard & Poor's as not only having academic excellence, but also efficient operations. The Dale District is the home to the highest concentration of economically disadvantaged kids in Chesterfield County. A number of Title I schools are in this particular district. And I'm proud to say that there has been a tremendous revitalization in this district over this last 5 years. We have seen large reductions in achievement gaps for African American as well as Latino students. Our schools have been much improved. I'll just give you a couple quick examples. Beulah Elementary School was recently named the Virginia State Title I School of the Year. Baldwin Creek Middle School was busing kids to Robius Middle School when I first came on the board, and they were passing 42% of their math students. Well, that number is now doubled in this last 5 years. Elsie Bird High School has recently been named the Governor's Academy for Engineering Studies. And at Meadowbrook High School, we've instituted a 9th grade academy and a Pathways program which helps link the kids with their future.
David, can I ask you to wrap up, please?
Oh, thank you very much. Well, I'll wrap up by saying we haven't made it all the way to where we want to be. There's an awful lot of progress that has been made, but there's more to do over these next 4 years.
Mr. Jackson.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity to address you, the Business Council, and the Chamber for having this event. And I will agree with you, David, that we are not where we need to be. But as I start with my prepared statement, I'll let you be the judge of that. As a parent, a taxpayer, and a citizen, I have a vested interest in all of our children. It is my greatest hope that the future leaders of our community are well prepared to compete in a globally connected workforce. I don't like quoting, excuse me. As a parent, the primary reason for any school system is to create future leaders with ideas, purpose, passion, and plans for implementation. Plans to soar as benefactors and servants of the future. As a board member, I will invite everyone to lead by positive examples by serving students, parents, teachers, and the community. As Dale District's next school board representative, every vote that I cast will have an impact on students. Just as your votes this November the 8th will have an impact on students. I will seek to make certain that every interested citizen is provided with a clear and plain language explanation of the impact that a yes vote will carry and the impact that a no vote will carry on our students, our teachers, and our classrooms. And I'm not so naive enough to think that I will receive 100% consensus with all the constituency on every single decision that I make. But what I will promise you that is what I will remain open and accessible to all members of the community. Be it parent, be it teacher, be it student, be it individuals that live north of 288 or south of 288. Be it white, black, Hispanic, Latino, Asian, Native American, or any color of God's rainbow. I will remain open and honest with those individuals, and I will value their input and their feedback.
Mike, please wrap up. Please.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Lastly, I will also utilize my formal training and years of experience in governmental accounting and finance and public administration, along with my credentials as a certified fraud examiner, to make certain there's a watchful eye, always looking over the dollars and cents entrusted to the school system by the taxpayers.
Between the school board and the board of supervisors.
Well, having been on the board for these last 5 years, I've made it my intent to have better relations with the board of supervisors. In fact, when I was chair, quite often I would have meetings with Dan Gecker, who was the then chair, so that we could look at the different issues that affected both the schools and the local government. And spent a whole lot of time together, probably too much time, during that budget crunch that we were under this last couple of years. But before that, we actually had a growth task force from the school side, which involved not just folks from the school side, but also the county side, and we had the participation of some of the board of supervisors in that way as well. Next, when I was chair, I actually got together with the other board members and decided that I would be on both the budget and audit committee as well as the liaison committee when folks, quite frankly, didn't want to participate. And so I have been an agent, I believe, over these last 5 years for bringing those boards together. And the last thing I'll mention is that under the comprehensive plan, we had some fairly tense moments, with the planning folks as well as the school folks as it relates to the comprehensive plan. And we got together, I got the folks together, and we actually kind of wrestled through our differences and came up with a plan that I think is actually pretty decent on the school front. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Jackson?
Yes. Having been a consultant and a staffer, as well as an appointed member of numerous governmental bodies, I see some people in the audience that I've served with on different commissions and boards before. I truly understand and get the importance of cooperation and building consensus. But perhaps the greatest lesson that I've learned from my experience is the power of listening. I didn't have to listen very long or very hard before I heard from all of the principals around Chesterfield County that what they needed most was a cohesive governmental unit, and that's why I'm here. Serving as a consultant for many nonprofit and community-based organizations whose mission it is to build board capacity, I'm fully prepared to build working relationships with the board of supervisors, the superintendent, and the community as a whole. So through listening and open and honest dialogue and a mutual respect, I've learned to build the kinds of mutual beneficial relationships and earn the unwavering commitment to our citizens. And I'm fortunate to have this type of relationship with the current Dale District Supervisor, Jim Howell.
Thank you. Next question would go first to you, Mr. The loss of federal stimulus funds will further reduce the monies available for the school budget next year. Property taxes provide about half of the local funding for the schools. Would you support a property tax rate increase to increase school funding? Please explain.
Right now, I can't answer that question as whether I would support a tax rate increase because I don't have all the information in front of me to make that decision. But I will tell you is that the school board and the board of supervisors have gone through this dead-end budgetary road that we need to get off of in the last few years. We have to simply face the new economic reality that we have. And the reality is that there's no more fat to cut out of the school's budget. And so again, it falls on the educators to help our school system develop a reasonable and responsible budget that reflects the new reality. Then in a transparent process that the Board of Supervisors needs to work with the school board and the superintendent to equitably distribute the resources across the county. When we continue to do what's not working, we must look for new solutions. We can't keep going down this road. There's another piece that I did not hear anyone from the school board talk about, is that when I started, when I announced that I was going to run for school board back August 30th, our Governor McDonald, stated that we had a $403 million surplus. Regardless of how you feel that you got there, arguably the most unconscionable thing is that of that $403 million budget surplus, less than 5% of it was dedicated to education. That should make you upset. That's an atrocity. We have to pay for our priorities, and education should be our #1 priority.
Thank you. Mr. Wyman?
I've got a lot of experience with this topic since I've been on the school board for these last couple of years during these difficult circumstances. And we have taken some hard hits in education, but I would disagree with with Mr. Jackson concerning additional fat that can be trimmed. I think if you take a look at our transportation system, as we have, as a school board, just approved the investment in some software which will help us to reroute some of our buses, and we spend about $27 million on our transportation. So I think there are areas to go. I think there are some support areas that we're going to have to take a look at. But the thing that we got to remember is that we haven't had a raise for our teachers over the last 3 years. And I think that's one of the things we're going to have to play into the budget. The fourth thing that I'll mention on this, in order to get to the budget that we need to be at without raising taxes, is taking a look at how when you have older employees who retire, you actually have a differential between their pay and the new salaries of the people coming on board. So you're actually getting savings in that direction. I think it comes down to priorities. And as we mentioned to the Board of Supervisors this 2 years ago when I was chair, the first one is using the savings from prior years to try to fill that gap, which I think we'll be able to do. The second thing, though, is the allocation of those resources. We still have a choice here in Chesterfield County, just as there's a choice at the Virginia State level, to allocate resources in a different way without raising the tax rate.
Thank you. Next question will go to you, Mr. Wyman. How important are the SATs and SOLs as metrics to help evaluate our school's performance? Are you satisfied with our performance on the SATs and SOLs?
Obviously, both are important metrics. The SOLs are taken by 100% of our students. The SATs are taken by 67% who will be college bound. I think the SOLs are more important in terms of measurements because they do measure the whole base of school kids. SATs are important, and we have not performed as well as we had hoped. And this is one of the areas that we're taking a strong look at. And one of the reasons why we implemented the Pathways program here at Meadowbrook High School was to get the kids more focused on their future and get them tied into not only doing the things that they want to do, but making sure that they're doing the right things in English, history, math, those kinds of things, which are important, obviously, in getting to post-secondary level. We have challenged our kids to take SATs. So we have some kids that, maybe other school systems wouldn't have taken the SATs, but we push them into doing that. We push our kids into AP courses. We push our kids into dual enrollment courses so that they'll get the benefit of that activity. So no, I'm not happy with where we are from an SAT standpoint. I think we've made great strides across the board in our SOLs, and I think that's going to reap benefits down the road in terms of graduation rates as well as SATs. Thank you.
Mr. Jackson.
Thank you. I also wanted to respond to, after 5 years of Mr. Wyman being on the school board, they still feel that there's fat to cut, and that's just strange when you talk about being in that process for the last 5 years, but there's still fat to cut, so I guess there's still work to be done. But as to your question about SATs and SOL scores, I would agree that there has not been enough improvement and achievement in the Dale district. Mr. Wyman talked about pushing students, and those students may not have been, in other school districts, been challenged to take the SAT scores. I don't accept low expectations. The bar should be raised higher. Again, our children are going to be competing in a globally connected work environment. And if we are not pushing them to be the best that they can be and raising that bar higher than the standards of the SOLs should be the minimum that we are reaching. And when we pat ourselves on the back as a school system for reaching accreditation, albeit but one traditional school that didn't reach full accreditation, which we're sitting in today. To reach accreditation, 70%, and then at elementary level, 75% have to pass or be proficient. I don't know about you, but I remember going to school, 70 was really a D. And I don't think that we should be patting ourselves on the back saying that we're fully accredited. We have all of our schools accredited when the bar should be much higher. Mr. Wyman also talked about AP and dual enrollment. In the Dale district, AP and dual enrollment is one of the lowest of any of the districts in the county.
Can you wrap up, please?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Less than 5% of our students are actually enrolled in AP and dual enrollment courses in the Dale district.
Thank you. Just a reminder, we're about halfway through the prepared questions, so if you'd like to submit some questions,